Today I thought I'd do something a little different. I'm going to show you how I tune my guitar. I know I spent all this time talking about music theory and suddenly I'm going to talk about tuning. Well, specifically I'm going to talk about how I tune a classical guitar. I don't tune all the strings to a tuner because the fact of the matter is it doesn't sound good when you do that. You're going to have little inconsistencies here and there if you do that, especially if all your strings are the same length, which is pretty much going to be the case on any classical guitar. I do use an electronic tuner on electric guitars because they're set up in a way that allows for that, or at least they're a little more forgiving. The frets of the guitar are spaced for equal temperament, and on any normal guitar that spacing is determined by the scale length, which is the distance between the nut and the bridge. But this fails to account for string mass and applied tension. This can be remedied a little by compensating individual string length, which is why most electric guitars have adjustable saddles. You can see the individual saddles on this Floyd Rose bridge, and my Explorer has Gibson's standard Tune-o-matic bridge. But even with the adjustable saddles, these guitars can't intonate perfectly spot on, because the three factors that determine a vibrating string's frequency, mass, tension, and length, are fudged to varying degrees every time you press a string down on a fret. If you've ever seen a so-called true temperament guitar neck with the squiggly frets, this problem is what they seek to solve. Supposedly, every single note will intonate perfectly on those necks. I am very curious to try one. But this is straight all the way across, so it's lacking that slight compensation you find on electric guitars. If I tune this to a chromatic tuner, there are going to be some problematic areas. Really, there are always going to be problematic areas, but this tuning method I use minimizes them and makes playing in any key sound pretty good with no glaring dissonances where there shouldn't be any. Before I show you what I do, I'll show you two tuning methods you should never use, no matter what kind of guitar you're playing. First is that classic thing where you match the 5th fret to the next open string. That method only has a chance of working if your ears are lightning accurate and you're sensitive to how your guitar intonates. If you're a few cents off, which is not easy to hear, that snowballs as you go up the strings. And then you've got all kinds of pitch discrepancies. The other method that's no good for a lot of the same reasons is where you match the 5th and 7th fret harmonics on each pair of strings. Again, any little discrepancies will snowball. Plus, because you're tuning mainly from natural harmonics, you're pulling in a weird mixed bag of justly intonated fifths, namely the 7th fret harmonics, that aren't going to fall nicely on equally tempered frets that don't even intonate right in the first place. So, here's what I do for classical guitars. First, I use a tuner to get my A string in tune. That's the extent to which I use a tuner. It's just to get my reference pitch right. I don't have perfect pitch, so what can you do? Then I match the 5th and 7th fret harmonics on the 6th and 5th strings to tune the 6th string. But you just said not to use harmonics. I know, but this works out, trust me. Next, I match the 12th fret A harmonic to the A on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string to tune the 3rd string. I usually go back and forth between the harmonic and just the open string to match octaves. Next, I do octave Cs to tune the 2nd string. Then, now that I've tuned the 2nd string, I match octave Ds to tune the 4th string. Again, I'll flip-flop between the open D and the 12th fret harmonic for this. And then the 1st string, which I match to both the open 5th and 6th strings. I can do this because I did the harmonics thing in the beginning. So this open 1st string should fall in just right with no beating when you play it against either the 5th or 6th strings. And then I play some disconnected chords and listen to how I did. And that's it. So if I check each string on the tuner, both E's are a little sharp. D and B are a bit sharp. G is also sharp. And A is spot on, at least to this tuner. So I'll play something that traverses the neck a bit so you can hear that there's nothing really ugly going on. So, takeaway. Perfectly tuning a standard guitar is impossible. Everything we do is just good enough. Good tuning is really important. Using a tuner for all 6 strings is oftentimes not sufficient. It depends on your guitar. But regardless, you want to check your tuning by playing something halfway musical and really listen to each string as it rings against the others. If you've trained your ears well, you should be able to find areas to compensate. You mainly want to watch out for perfect intervals like fifths and octaves that need a little give and take. It's never going to be perfect, but you want to strike the best balance you can. So that's all I've got for now. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.